Hi everyone. In our last class, we have discussed about the topic that is Indian independence. We have discussed about some important freedom fighters and their achievements and their ideologies and their principles. I think you are very familiar with our Indian freedom movement. I mean, after the British rule, I mean, about the British rule and some other important topics we have discussed in our previous classes. Today we shall move on to the other very important topic, or we shall discuss about the important political organization which leads and leadership of Indian freedom struggle, which has given a remarkable contribution for the freedom struggle of India. Till today, the political organization which is working for the development of our India, that is Indian National Congress. I think you are very familiar with this name, I mean INC, Indian National Congress. It was started at the year of 1885. I mean, the party or the political organization Indian National Congress was started just because to get the independence, I mean to fight the independence. It is having a very enormous history of in our Indian independence. At the time of 1885, after the first war of Indian independence, what are the important measures or what are the evidences taken place in our country? After that, a retired British officer named by A.O. Hume is a retired British officer. His name is A.O. Hume. I mean, Alien Optimum Hume. He is the founder of Indian National Congress. I mean, with the guidance of this person, A.O. Hume, the Indian youths are organized. The Indian youths are organized, and he thought that if the British rule is continued in India, there will be declination of Indian enormous wealth. There will be a declination of Indian culture. So, to protect the Indian culture, to protect the Indian history, it made a plan to organize the youths, educated youths of this country to fight against the British government. A.O. Hume is a person who organized the educated youths of India to fight against the British government. By this on 1885, on the year of 1885, Indian National Congress is going to start. Indian National Congress is going to start from 1885 till the independence. Indian National Congress is worked a lot for the development of our country, and the main organization or a frontal organization which is worked which has given a remarkable contribution, and which is the political organization which is very important to for the freedom movement, or which is reason for getting the freedom, is Indian National Congress. It has fought for several years for the freedom struggle, or it is a main reason for the Indian freedom movement. It was started at 1885 by the person retired British officer named as A.O. Hume. W.C. Banerjee, I mean, when he has started the Indian National Congress, I mean, to break the British rule in this country, many British peoples are contributed for our country. I mean, A.O. Hume is a person who is a reason for the development of Indian National Congress. He educated the youths of India to politically organize and to fight with the British government. In the same way, many other British scholars or British persons or foreign persons are helpful for the development of our literature also. See, George Ferdinand Kittel is a person who introduced the dictionary for our country. Such kind of many foreign persons or foreign scholars are helped or they contributed for the development of our nation. In the same way, Indian National Congress, the idea of INC was generated or given by the A.O. Hume. He is a retired British officer. He educated the youths of India to fight against the British rule. By his initiation or by his guidance, the Indian youths or the Indian educated youths are started a political organization to work or to fight against the British rule. That very oldest organization and very powerful weapon which is used to get the freedom, that is Indian National Congress INC. In 1885 itself at Mumbai, the first conference of Indian National Congress was held. The first conference of INC, I mean the first conference of Indian National Congress was held at the city Mumbai. The president of first conference is W.C. Banerjee. Umesh Chandra Banerjee is the first president of India, first president of Indian National Congress Conference. AOU was the General Secretary of Indian National Congress when it was started. Very important, and it is very important for your examination sake and also for your further future sake. W.C. Banerjee was the first president of Indian National Congress. The conference was held at Mumbai. AOU is a retired British officer who given an idea or who is a reason for the development or a starting of Indian National Congress. He educated the youths of, he said or he provoked the educated youths of India to organize politically for the development or to fight against the British rule. This was a brief history behind the Indian National Congress. In the same way, after construction of India, after development of Indian National Congress, after organization of Indian National Congress, Indian National Congress was remarked as the strongest political organization of India, which is working for the declination of British rule. In the same way, the thought or ideology of leaders of Indian National Congress was like moderates itself. They are the moderate leaders who are going to argue, who are going to ask the government, ask the British government to rule. I mean, they have made many policies. They have asked the British government to employ the Indian persons for the higher posts. I mean, before starting of Indian National Congress, the Indian peoples are appointed only for the sake of military and some low jobs. After starting of Indian National Congress, the INC demanded the British government to appoint the Indians for a higher post, for the deputy commissioner level post, and from secretary level post you should appoint the Indians itself. It was the major demand of the Indian National Congress. But eventually, for many years, the Indians were working for the British government just as a soldiers or police officers. After starting of Indian National Congress, the leaders of Indian National Congress are demanded the British rule to join the Indian employees for the higher posts. After some years, it was all came into force by the British government itself. But after some days, the British are refused to appoint the Indians for higher posts, and some defeats. I mean, the Indian British government arrested at that time they have started some movements. The peoples of Indian National Congress was started some movements. They started to protest against the British government. For that sake, the British government arrested the leaders of Indian National Congress and they prisoned them. In the moderate way, they have started to protest against the British government. Because of that, the British government is not ready to respond for the leaders of Indian National Congress. At the same time, the extremist leaders like the extremist leader Bal Gangadhar Tilak or some other Bipin Chandra Pal, Bal Gangadhar Tilak and some other leaders, they opposed the moderate policy of Indian National Congress. If you are going in this way, if we are going in the way of non-violence, you will not get freedom. This is not the correct way to get the freedom. They have said like that, and they have the person, I mean Bal Gangadhar Tilak, he made a statement or he made a slogan that is Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it. It is a slogan of Bal Gangadhar. It is a very famous slogan of Bal Gangadhar Tilak. which inspired thousands of Indians to fight. The extremist leader Bal Gangadhar Tilak was a person who is running a newspaper at that time. The name of newspaper is Kesari. This statement or this slogan, Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it, was spreaded all over the nation, and it brings a spirit for the leaders or youngsters to fight against the British rule. So after giving this slogan, Bal Gangadhar Tilak also organized the people, organized the youths of our nation to work or to fight against the British rule in the non-violence way. The peoples or the leaders of Indian National Congress are fighting opposite to the British rule in the non-violence way. At the same time, extremist leader Bal Gangadhar Tilak and his followers or his subordinates are started, and they also organized, and they started to fight against the British rule in the violence way. After all this, when the British government is not agreed to demands of Indian National Congress, in the same way the peoples of Indian National Congress and the peoples of extremists also, they started in a huge manner their protest and their independent activities. Because of this, the government of the British government present the leaders of the both sides. They have jailed the leaders of extremists and also jailed the leaders of the moderates also. At the same time, after this, the important incidents take place, which plays a very major role in the independence movement. That is Partition of Bengal. What do you mean by Partition of Bengal? See, British were ruling our country for several years, but after starting of Indian National Congress, they thought about the divide and rule policy, because until that India was divided into certain circumstances. I mean, we are not united because of our caste, because of our reason and some other many reasons. But the Bengal was a province which is very big. Bengal was a very big province of India, which was it was widespread from Odisha and some other many states also. Now the Bengal provision in Indian government administration or in present administration, the Bengal province is nearly divided into 4 states. But at that time it was only one province, Bengal. It was a very big province in our nation. So the British thought, because when all these activities started, the Bengal, it was a center of all these activities. It was a center of all these activities. The British had their very important policy, that is divide and rule, which made British to sustain in India about 300 years. The major policy which worked in the administration of India is divide and rule. So the British thought, or the British planned to divide India, or to divide the Bengal provinces into East Bengal and West Bengal. East Bengal is a part where the population of Muslim is very high, and West Bengal is a part where the population of Hindu is very high. This was a plan led by the British officer Lord Curzon in 1905. He planned that if we let Indians to be united, they will oppose us or they will fight with us. So it is very good to divide the Bengal province into two parts. That is West Bengal for the sake of Muslims and East Bengal for the sake of Hindus. By this, they divided they divided the major province of India, and the leaders of these provinces also, they get divided. By this, the plan of British was succeeded. The partition of Bengal, when the British divided the Bengal into two major parts, at that time the unity of India was divided. It led some back steps to the freedom struggle or freedom movement of India. This is all about the today's concept, that is Indian National Congress and Partition of Bengal. In the next class, in the next Next session itself we shall discuss about the very major part of this lesson, that is entry of Mahatma Gandhi to India, and some important laws which are revolutionary and non-cooperation movement, and some other important laws which are made by the British government, and the leaders of Indian National Congress and some other political organization, they opposed the British government, and some other important events are taken place regarding our Indian independence movement. We shall discuss all these concepts in our next class. Thank you, Ananda.